We're using our management on soils that are up to 3 billion years old. They're fragile and they're brittle, and they're going to need good management to keep them in good condition. I've spent the last 45 years learning and living and working in the arid rangelands, and in that 45 years I've learnt that the hydration of our soils is something that we're still learning a lot about, and we need to get a lot better at doing that, because I think the clock is ticking as far as how long the landscape can still be so forgiving with taking and not being able to help it replenish and regenerate. Without the healthy soil, we don't have healthy grass, we don't have healthy grass, we don't have healthy stock. My name's Robin Pensini. We're on Cheela Plains Station, which we formed in 2001 by splitting the Wyloo Station pastoral lease, which my parents purchased Wyloo in 1976 after a good 50 years of severe overgrazing. An efficient way of mustering breeder cattle was water traps, by making these little 50 hectare paddocks. I just run out a bit of wire, so they would graze twice a year for about 2 days, so they're getting 4 days of grazing per year. The rest of the time was resting. So we noticed these little paddocks were getting a lot of grass in them. And I didn't know until I started doing courses like the RCS, Grazing for Profit, and then the penny dropped. So that was the aha moment for me as far as stock management and what we were doing with their grazing and their resource. Is the blend of plant species rather than a monoculture. And we could see the benefits of the need to actually graze smaller areas for shorter periods of time. So we very quickly realised that the 4 paddocks needed to be a lot more, so we went fairly quickly from 4 to about 24 paddocks. Our whole goal was to sustainably graze this system using the rotational method, and then we started getting dry seasons. We partially destocked on 2 occasions, and then in 2010 was when we did a complete destock. You've got to quite often just keep destocking until sometimes you've got no stock there. And of course then the conundrum is, well, how do you make a living and how do you keep surviving without the livestock being your core? We then went to Northern Territory, just west of Alice Springs, for 2 years and managed the property there. It enabled us to look at our business then from the outside looking in. So that's when we decided that we needed to diversify the business and not just rely on livestock as being the only income stream.
Well, you've got to work as a team. You've got to have a good partner. And I guess you've just got to never give up. If you believe in something, you've got to hang in there and stick it out.
And the pastoral side of things, we started just using excess grass. We'd then basically sell that grass as adjustment, which did suit how I was wanting to manage the country anyway. So with the rotational system we've got in place, we have approximately 90 paddocks over about 25,000 hectares. The model that we've put in place brings it down to about a 220 hectare paddock, and that's off 1 water point and 1 single wire electric fence. We're trying to graze for as short a time as possible with as many animals as possible, whether they're our own livestock that we've bred or if they're livestock we've brought in on adjustment. They're all trained to the electric fence. The quicker that you're moving the cattle, the quicker you can reinforce that trust, and the quicker you'll get results in live weight gains. The livestock are happy, they're relaxed, they're calm. It is a system that needs attention because you have to make sure they've got water, you have to make sure they've got power, and then you need to be setting up the next paddock for them and doing your budgets. And it sounds like you're doing a lot, but those little snapshots will take hours out of the day rather than all day, every day. Moisture that's in the root reserve itself, so you definitely do have to be able to adapt. You can position yourself to, say, have country that's grazed down to a certain level where you've left a lot of forage behind, you've got litter on the ground, you've got the soil disturbance there, and the dung and manure is all disturbed in that soil, so that country is rain ready for when you do get that next rainfall event. You're going to have times where that just won't click and it won't happen and you don't get the rainfall, but at least the country's resting. You can't do that in a set stock system. If you're going to be set stocking and not feed budgeting, then you're literally just rolling the dice. If you're really keen to start rotating some stock around and some resting some land, you've got to be honest in saying that I'm going to take the stock out of that paddock, and that paddock is going to rest from all forms of grazing. And you're only going to be able to control it if you can control the water. You've got to turn that water off. You see a lot of ground litter. You've got rhizonal fungi on the surface as well. And then you've got that cake type structure to the soil. It's quite firm. So we've walked to a bare patch of soil. Do you want to pick up that same sort of sample? On our left is the organic matter. On our right is the bare soil. So I've got the organic material on the left. And see the bubbles coming out of it, the air coming out of it. So you can see the bubbles still coming out of that organic material. And see how the water's quite clear. And see how this one is actually, it's sort of like it's fizzing, but it's dissolving. It's going cloudy. The air that was in that has now been released, but it's still clear, the water. So basically, your rainfall drops are going to hit this ground, and that's just going to basically dissolve the soil. It's just going to wash away into the river, a lot of it. The rain is going to fall on this organic soil, so it's still almost perfectly clear, and that's going to infiltrate straight down into the subsoil. So as I tip this water out, you then see what's left behind of that lump of soil that we put in there. It's just pretty much a bit of slurry. So we tip this one out. See, our organic soil is still relatively in one piece.
We really enjoy sharing our pristine environment and our landscape, and we really want to be able to continue sharing that and, showcasing what we do with our regeneration.
Our soil health is our most important asset that we have, and we have to know how to utilise it where we can maximise the benefits of that rangelands, but also regenerate it to where it's getting better and better each generation. That's the hopes and dreams.